Blazing Magnum is a 1976 Italian-Canadian crime movie with a title that makes me way too excited for it than I should be. As it was with a lot of European releases of the era, this movie is known under many names worldwide. It was known as Blazing Magnum in the UK, Big Magnum 77 in Japan, Selkeva Magnum in Finland, and even the original Italian movie title references the overpressured cartridge, Una Magnum Special per Tony Saida, which sounds oddly familiar to the Italian title of the second Dirty Harry movie. Producers of the Blazing Magnum really wanted you to think that this movie is a Dirty Harry ripoff, when in reality it isn't. As a matter of fact, the American title of the movie, Shadows in the Empty Room, is as close to the contents of the movie as all of the Magnum titles. The director of the movie, Alberto Di Martino, stated that he had an old story called Di Como Delito, and we rearranged it a bit. And what I think he meant by rearranging it was adding following into the mix. American star as a lead, incredibly brilliant music score, female and male nudity, stunt work that probably had cost a few stuntmen their health, bank robbery scene, violence against entrepreneurs, violence against transvestites, car chase that had probably cost a quarter of a budget of a movie, John Saxton, and Martin Landau, and, of course,
44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and will blow your head clean off.
1970s Italian crime movie genre, as a lot of other popular genres within Italian film culture, was exploitative and borrowed heavily from Western counterparts while still somehow remaining unique and unmistakably Italian. These movies were scornfully nicknamed by Italian critics as poliziotteschi, literally related to police, police-esque. Notorious for other frantic methods of production, involving among other things firing live ammo in the direction of the actors, filming chase sequences in the middle of a real city traffic, ridiculously short production times, and, of course, violence. Lots and lots of violence. Poliziotteschi was yet another attempt of Italian filmmakers to drag Italians from television sets back into the movie theaters. However, frantic and exploitative nature of poliziotteschi can not only be attributed to the attempts of shocking the audience. Time frame in which those movies had come to light might be another accomplice. 1970s in Italy were a mix of left and right-wing terrorism, assassinations of political leaders and government officials, workers' unrest, attempted fascist coup, and mafia activity running absolutely rampant. All those things were hallmarks of the era known rather appropriately as years of lead. So naturally, Italian general public had a strong desire for those sort of things not to happen. 1970s in Italy saw an emergence of desire for universally moral crime fighter that didn't necessarily care for red tape, corruption, protocol, or human rights violations. A lawmaker with a sort of a cowboyish frontier attitude, but existing within the confines of the modern society.
I know what you're thinking.
Dirty Harry must have been an absolute godsend for Italian audiences of 1970s. A character with a quote-unquote fascist moral position might have been seen by Italians as a source of a desirable code of conduct to stop fascist violence in Italy, among other things. And absolutely natural, if something is desired by public, it can be monetized. Film industry realized that and created quite a bit of hardline cop movies. So many of them, in fact, that they became their own genre. This movie is kind of the worst thing to see if you want the introduction to poliziotteschi. As I mentioned before, only some parts of the movie are kind of poliziotteschi, while others are just plain old murder mystery, in addition with a rather noir-esque vibe to it. And it doesn't help that the main character is rather old, with flimsy moral compass, bitter and driven by revenge more than any moral consents. Because of rather distinct and clearly separated detective and poliziotteschi elements, structurally this movie is sort of a sandwich. There are three main types of things that happen on the screen: murder mystery inquiries, poliziotteschi machismos, and most interestingly, scene collections that I like to call time stoppers. Moments in which story literally stops completely dead in its tracks for spectacle to be observed. As a matter of fact, the movie begins with a spectacle, armed bank robbery, a typical sign in Canada and not in any way a poliziotteschi trope.
Okay, everybody,
Whiteman's character, with an appropriate Canadian surname, Saida, naturally assists resolving this robbery, while his soon-to-be-killed sister attempts to contact her brother, probably with a request for help in not being killed. This scene is fun, but it just kinda comes and goes without really moving the story anywhere. It's true that in every movie, action scenes don't really move story forward, but the reason for why stuff on the screen is happening is strong enough to keep the suspension of disbelief in place. And that is not the case with spectacles in this movie. For example, there is a scene that I like to call Happy Bald Man chase scene.
Come here. I want to talk to you.
A happy bald man, while running away from the police, still finds time to buy tickets at the metro. There's a lot of people on the metro. Let me go on a limb and say that the chase sequence was shot during a rush hour in real metro with no permits. Saida finds the happy bald man in a bathroom. After removing happy bald man from a toilet stall, proceeds to violently beat up and water torture the guy. Well, that's just impolite. The happy bald man is on the screen for 7 minutes and he exists because someone involved in this movie thought it would be an awesome thing to have a chase sequence in which main character is following someone, and it was not important for them who that person would be. Situation in which Saida needs to talk to a person we have not seen before nor we're gonna see after the scene happens at least 2 more times in this movie, and one of those times it results in another chase.
What do you want? Sullivan sent us. We got some business. Sullivan sent us.
Only this time, this chase happens in cars, by cars. Wait, are those cars dancing? The whole car chase scene feels like someone just gave a carte blanche to a car choreographer. Adventures of Inspector Saida force him to search for a group of transvestites.
Say, do you remember that girl that we found in the rock crusher? The girl was a guy.
A guy. Sounds like something we might find in a fruit market, huh?
True, exactly the same.
And where is a better place to search for them than in a sex shop? Of course, in that cradle of filth and degeneracy. And of course, as he comes in, he gets an offer of a very reasonably priced blow-up doll.
We have a wonderful new selection of inflatable female dolls.
Not my style.
Immediately, and I mean immediately followed by an offer of a sex with a prostitute.
Maybe I'm your style? $50. And I'm not the shy type.
And naturally, of course, the store owner is perfectly aware of where the specific group of transvestites spends their time.
Are you expecting someone, girls?
Sounds like a hot one. You must crave my body.
Excuse me, what?
I want to talk to you.
Hey, sweetie, he's private here. He's only for members.
Hey, just take it easy, girls. Just take it easy. I want some information.
I'll give you a mouthful of information.
In the arms of the angel.
why don't you just tell me what you want?
I've been saying a lot of smack about the movie, but it has a lot of charm to it. I enjoyed watching it quite a bit. It feels like an Italian production in a way that it feels that people making this movie had fun, or at least part of the crew had fun making this movie. There are plenty of stupid things, but there are plenty of amazing things in the movie. The detective story itself was very enjoyable, and for me, not a big connoisseur of detective stories, it was original. Some scenes in the movie were just amazing, period. The slow-mo shots of Saida's sister just look incredible. Yes, I mean, it's only seconds, but it's brilliant. Everything is in the right places. Lighting, the shot, the slow-mo, and with brilliant Trovaioli score, the scene is nothing short of breathtaking. The score of this movie is a topic for another discussion altogether. It absolutely deserves praise on its own merit, but surprisingly, music is not the only magical thing in the movie. Despite his drabbiness and senseless bitterness, there is some sort of magic in the main character.
Something I can do for you? I'd like directions to the nearest restaurant. Sure. I'm sorry about the scratches.
Just think about it. Whiteman's character tries to shoot down a medical helicopter using a revolver originally designed for hunting bears. And he also water tortures a guy in this movie. This character has a flavor to it. And as for the movie itself, I see no reason not to check it out. This bizarre time capsule of the 1970s Italian filmmaking is worth checking out, if anything, for the soundtrack alone.
The Lord holds policemen in high esteem.
I say up, Father!